Well, it's that time again. It's the end of the month, it's the end of November, and not only that, I'm getting ready to head home to Canada tomorrow. The last 2 days here in Bangkok, I splurged a little bit and went above my budget for a hotel room. And in honor of that, we're going to review the 15 different stays I had over the last 3 months here in Southeast Asia, both Thailand and the Philippines. And before we head into all that, can you do the thing? It would be greatly appreciated. As you know, it's the only way the algorithm gets our videos out there. Maybe if we like and subscribe to videos that are a little more real, it might stop sending the hate ones around. So quick thumbs up, everybody. And okay, let's go. So the very first place I stayed in was Karun Beach on Phuket Island, and I stayed at the Paradise Inn. I enjoyed it very much. My pictures don't do it justice, but I even had a partial view of the water from there. And all of that for a budget price of $24.54 Canadian a day. Next, it was on to Lub Sabai Hotel in Old Town Phuket. It was part of the Lub Sabai hotel group. I stayed at the hostel, there's a hotel, and then of course the resort. If you can get yourself into a small chain like that and then stay in the hostel, your chances of having a higher quality stay at a budget will be much better than if you throw caution to the wind. But also, if you go into town and only maybe book your hotel for 2 to 4 days, you can then scope out the local area and see what's out there, and the rent will be much better than what you're going to get on the booking sites. Or book for a day or two and then book with the hotel direct. And again, not using the booking site, and your price will be much better. Then it was off to Nam Phang in Rawe Beach, which advertises itself as a boutique resort. The women that worked there were fabulous. The resort itself was wonderful. Then it was off to SD Residence. SD Residence was closer to the airport. I did get an introduction to Nayang Beach and will look forward to staying in that area again when I come back to Thailand. So then it was off to Manila. And in Manila, I stayed at SD Residence. It was an apartment complex with a beautiful pool area and very close to shopping. I enjoyed that because I could cook for myself as well as eat out. And there it was the pricing was a little bit more expensive than what I was used to in Thailand. So from field residence in Manila, I headed over to Clark City and stayed at La Casa. I am so sorry. I have no idea what happened to the pictures of the room at La Casa. I did shoot a short video there, so I got a tiny little corner of it, but I have nothing of the room. It was very clean and was family run. Felt extremely comfortable. You really felt like home when you were there. Great meals. I'd go back again. I headed back to Manila for a couple of days and stayed at SD Residence again. And then it was off to Hua Hin. In Hua Hin, I stayed at Hua Hin Hua Hin Place. That was a family-owned guest house that has been around for a long time. Very close to the water, well established, and took care of me very, very well. At the guest house, I'm staying for under $25 Canadian a night. There is no way I'm doing that in Canada anywhere. I'm not too sure what other people have for expectations for accommodations under $30, but I guess my expectations are rather low, and yet I don't want the place falling apart. But I know that some of these places I'm staying in will maybe be a little bit aged or been around a long time, but still very well taken care of. And even the ones that are a little bit older, as you'll see later as I talk, end up getting renovated anyway. So you could really luck out like that. From Hua Hin Place, I went a little farther up the way from Hua Hin to Cha Am and stayed at Dang Ki Resort. I stayed in a little cabin. They had rooms as well as cabins, and I stayed there. They had a restaurant on site that served you the whole time, but it was you're in the middle of nowhere. You're in between Wahin and Cha'am. You're about at the halfway point, and there's really not too much around you. Anything you might want to do, you're definitely spending a couple of $100 baht and traveling 15 minutes either way to go do something. But I chose that place for the quietness and being out of the way. The only thing is you really need to be prepared when you're in Thailand and you might be near a major thoroughfare or a major road. You might think because you're coming to Thailand, oh, it's a road that's Thailand. How many people? It's busy all the time. That road will be going all the time. It'll calm down after midnight and until around 5 in the morning, and you're sleeping. So I was sleeping, so maybe I didn't hear it. But be prepared. It's busy and it has noise. So from there, I went back to Wahin. I missed it. I went to Shirley 888. It was a smaller, older hotel in Wahin, but lucked out, as I said. It had been renovated. You could still smell the paint when you walked in the room. I had a room on the 5th floor, and it's a walk-up. That was no matter. The quiet that I had, the view that I had of the water, and having the rooftop to myself to sit and enjoy definitely made it a bargain for sure. I only booked 3 of my 15 stays through booking.com, and the rest of my stays were through Agoda. I found for my deals, I got better deals through Agoda than I did after Wahin. I headed off to Banvor residence, or Banvor, I don't even know if it was anyway, Banvor Hotel in Khon Kaen, Thailand. I really liked Khon Kaen. Maybe it's because it's a small, quieter, sleepy town, and that's the city I'm from. Small, not a lot of people. Not a lot of buildings that are over 5 or 6 stories. Banvor was quite nice. And another thing too is that every hotel, they're going to have their own quirky little things that they do. At Banvor, you weren't allowed to come into the open general office area. Anything that you needed, they would get it for you. They didn't provide coffee or anything like that. They did provide water and hot water. But if you needed hot water for your coffee, you had to go downstairs, give them the cup. They got you the hot water and brought it back. I found it a little bit weird, but that's okay. That could be their home. Everything is just slightly different here, as well as it's slightly different every place you go to. From Khon Kaen, it was off to Kanchanaburi. Kanchanaburi, I ended up staying at Tamuin Residence right on the River Kwai. It was gorgeous. Downside, the walls were so paper thin you could hear everything. I mean, everything. If somebody sneezed on the other side, or if somebody, breathed too deeply on the other side of the wall, you could hear it. The saving grace there is most of us are here to do our sightseeing. We're gone, day and night. You could not eat in your room, but they had table and chair outside the room as well as in the general area. And then you also had a fridge in that general area to keep your foods. Even though you weren't allowed to do certain things in your room, they were set up completely for you to do it outside of the room. After that, it was off to Ayutthaya and to stay at Ban Barasa. I hope all of my pronunciations are okay. That was a fabulous room, a fabulous stay. The people were wonderful. Coffee and tea. I mean, almost every place I stay at has coffee and tea provided in the room, has a refrigerator, and if it doesn't have a refrigerator in the room, there'll be one in the general area. But that place was super nice. And the city itself was super nice. I more and more went to different places that I guess aren't all about partying or being on the beach. They're a little bit more subdued and more about the historical factor. And I started to really settle in. That was a very nice place to go to. And it was in less than a kilometer's walking distance to any of the major attractions that I wanted to see. I also try to stay within 600 or so meters or less of the attractions I want to see or the beach that I'm staying at. So all my hotels and proximities, they're not like I'm staying 5 kilometers away from the beach. So no wonder you got the place for $25. Not at all. They're all within about 600 kilometers or less from where it is I would like to see, or the beach I'm going to enjoy. I ended up booking Pattaya because I had been last year here and stayed around Shatem Beach. This time I stayed closer to North Pattaya and the pier. Again, I was around 600 meters or so from the pier, around a kilometer or so from Pattaya Beach, another kilometer or so from around Shatem Beach, that I also could walk, which I did that most nearly every morning. Kudos, my first room was nice, but the noise was incredible. I asked to be moved and was put in my other room. I, for the first time, had to buy earplugs. There was a bar about a block down and a metal building, and it didn't matter that the music was on the inside of that building. It bumped so hard that it took it straight down the block and into all the buildings. So until about 3 o'clock in the morning, earplugs were in. And then around then 3, sometimes 5 on a Saturday, that place did go till 5 o'clock in the morning. I stayed at Kudos for 19 nights. And then I decided to cut it a couple of days short because I wanted to see the Sen Suk Temple. And then I wanted to spend a day or two in Bangkok in the Khao San region. And that's where I am today shooting this video. At Bang San, I stayed at Lob Sabai. That's the first hotel room that went over the 30 Canadian dollar mark. It was $31.33 for the night. The other one is the one I'm in now shooting this video, and that's PK Garden Home. Or PK Garden Apartment, I think. Shit. PK Garden. And the one I'm in now, PK Garden. I'm here 2 nights for a total of $56.62. All the prices that have been shared with you today include any extra taxes or charges, all in. Those are Canadian dollars. You can come to Thailand and very comfortably stay for $50 a night. So I'm going to be brutally honest. You want to be prepared for the fact that your walls may not be washed in some spots in some of the rooms. And you may even run into mold. That happened to me twice. So out of 15 rooms, I had 2 with mold and 3 with not so clean walls. Otherwise, the other 10, not a complaint. And all for under $25 Canadian a night. I'm a happy camper. So now let's get into the numbers of the month. So flights were cheap for November because I decided to stay in Thailand. I wanted to buckle down with some of the flying, and I put more of my money towards accommodations. So flights were $82.01. Accommodations were $961.24. Ouch. I did go up on my budget for my last 3 stays, as well as that's over and above money that I had already paid for. A total of 6 nights during the entire month in November, I doubled up on stays. So I have probably about $250 extra in stays for the month of November, and that would have then brought me to my budget of $700. But oh hell, I didn't use it flying, so I just moved it over to staying. My food budget was $377.47. Grab and tuk-tuks doing more ground travel, that number went up, $52.25. Costs to go see sites were $11.18. Personal supplies, $13.05. Supplies in general, $61.69. Phone was $146.15. The bank is $55 and fun $66.65, which that could have probably been put in with sites, and I'll be moving headings around maybe as the months go forward. Anyway, that brings us to a grand total for the month of November to $1,829.67. I never made it again. But that's a lot closer than last month, only $30 over. If I wouldn't have had the extra stays, I would have been right on target, but I'm really happy with the way it ended out anyway. I try to only plan about a month to 3 months in advance, so it's back to Canada right now for Christmas. And then I think it might be Florida shortly after that to see my brother, but I'll keep you posted. Do you have any travel plans that you're planning for the new year? Is there any place that you're trying to stay away from? Or are there any crazy deals you know about that I don't know about? Please leave your comments below. Can't wait to read them. I thank you so much for tuning in today. Remember to be kind to yourself. Until next time, take care and talk soon. Bye for now.